Welcome back, everyone. Today I'm going to show you something I wasn't even going to video, but I figured I'd like to have it on my history, and I figured a lot of people might find it interesting, at least three. Anyway, so what I'm doing is I'm going to show the electrical in the garage. What I'm doing, so I already put up the lights. These are lights that are from Sam's Club. These are like 20 bucks a piece. I have these in the shop. I have these in David's garage, and they throw out a real lot of light, and it's a nice color light, and for 20 bucks. And I have some expensive ones in the shop that I really don't think that are any better. So that's why I bought 12 of them for in here, but I don't think I'm going to do all 12. I haven't decided yet. So I've got that, as you can see, with the door open. That's where I was going to do three. So I was going to do one probably about where the window is in the door. Then I was going to do one in the center, and then I was going to do one evenly on this side. But I don't really need it to be super bright in here anyway. And that will be super bright anyway with those. So I'm doing one row there, and I'm going to do the same distance in, I think it's 78 inches. Down this way, and I may put one in between perpendicular to those, so I have enough. And then over here I'm going to put two parallel with the trusses, because I don't know if I talked about this before, but this set of stairs is just temporary. There's going to be a platform that comes out 4 feet, so it'll come out to here. It'll be at the same height. It'll be one step down, just like that is. It'll come across, because I've got access to the crawl space there. So I'm going to bring the platform to about here, and then the stairs will come down that way. So what I'm going to do is I am going to put 5/8 plywood on that wall, that section right there, so I can mount the switch box. And I am going to run everything out. This is the sub panel for the garage. So this is a 100 amp panel that I ran out specifically just for the garage. And somebody asked me why, when I said I wasn't going to sheetrock the garage, was it because of cost or extra work? And that's not the case. I like framing. I like the look of it. I've always liked it. I've never sheetrocked any of my own personal garages, which has been 3, not counting here, because I lived in most places for quite a while. So this obviously has to be fire code sheetrock. So this wall will be sheetrocked. The wall will go all the way up there. So that wall will be sheetrocked there. But this is going to stay open. So I am going to use EMT, which is right here. So you can see it's metal tubing. And I am going to come up over to the switch. There'll be a double switch over there. I'll have one switch for the garage lights, one switch for the lights over the garage. And I'll probably do a separate one somewhere because I will have outside spotlights, one up on that gable. There'll be one there. So I'm not sure where I'm going to put those yet, but it doesn't matter at this moment, because the only thing I need to get in are the light and the plugs. So I am then going to run down, the code now is you have to have at least one 20 amp plug for every garage bay. I'm going to do 2. You don't want to do the minimum stuff. There'll be a plug on the panel board itself, but it will come. So I'll have 2, and then I'm not going to do it now, but eventually I will run it down, and I'll have probably 4 down that side, right there. And then when I get around to doing the openers, I will also have plugs. There'll be an opener there, there'll be an opener there, and an opener there. So I will run those as well. But for right now, the only thing I really need to do, want to get the lights in. Well, I have the lift in here, because as you can see, it makes a nice pattern on the floor. So while it's in here, I'm going to get everything done up top. So that'll make it easier, and then I won't have to this won't be in the way, and I could get back to either putting a vehicle in here, or I'll have room to store material as I get it in for when I do insulation and sheetrock and all that. So yeah, so that's what I'm going to be doing. And what I'm going to do here is I'm also going to bring up a sheet of plywood right there. So as you know, that's a raceway, so I'm going to fur that out with 2x4s and run my sheet up that way so that I can get everything to where it's got to go. All right, I got one of the outside lights. I know Miss Wonderful wanted to see what it looked like. Those are 16-inch diameter farmhouse style LEDs. So I started to drill that one out, and I need to get a new 4 1/8 inch bit because it is worn out from cutting through this cement board. I need to get one that is a little bit more carbide-y, so I can cut I still have to cut the block, and I still have to cut that block, and I've got to cut a few other ones. So I'm going to get a new one tomorrow, but at least that's in. I can't really go back too far because the sun is right there and it'll blast us. But I'll get one tomorrow when the sun's not in the way. And wow is all I have to say. These are the blocks that go where the lights are going. So I've got to drill. Well, I'm making a 4 1/4 inch hole for a 4 inch, then for a 4 inch round inside it. But I tried to use regular hole saw, and you get about you get maybe one of those, and it takes the teeth off them, like the Lennox or the Milwaukee or whatever. And I went to Home Depot, and I tried to find one, and the cheapest one they had was like $279 for, it was like a concrete bit. And then I said, well, let me try Lowe's. So I went, you know, I like Lowe's anyway, and I like these Spider, the Spider brand blades. And this is not a paid endorsement. I just want to let you know. So if you have to drill through, this is 5/4, so it's, you know, it's almost 1 1/4 inches thick of cement board. This is a 4 1/4, but this is carbide tipped Spider. And it, right, Misty, this is amazing. When let me get a video of the next one, and I mean, this thing flies through it, just flies through it. Unbelievable. All right, had to get video of this Spider bit. This thing is amazing. Go faster. That thing's so hard I can hardly hold it. There it is. I mean, effortless, harder to hold the thing from spinning, but nice. And it's a clean hole too. All right, so after drilling this out, like I said, I love that bit. I can't say it enough. They should sponsor me for that one. So now there's going to be a 4 inch round box right here. It's actually octagon. They don't seem to make the 4 inch anymore that I could find anyway. And that will mount here, and then I will have a pigtail of MC cable going up into the conduit, connecting them all together. So I've got to go down because, of course, I forgot to put the box on the platform. So I've got to go get the box and get that mounted. All right, so next is the trim ring. This is what holds the light. So the light has 2 holes in it here. The base, you slide it over, and it's got black nuts that go over that. So, and then we've got the ground wire for grounding the box, which I will then ground the fixture also to here, and connect it to that. So we'll have good ground, and this is nice and sturdy. All right, there it is, all installed. Block is caulked. LED bulb is in, 100 watt. One more to go. All right, so I should have showed it from down there, but so I'm bringing up, this is 3/4 EMT. So I'm going to come over at a 45. like this from here over to here, and I'm going to do like a 2-inch offset down. So this will be, there'll be a 45 kick with a 2-inch offset down, and that will run down to there. So I'm going to get my measurements, and I'll go down and bend this. This will be a little, well, it's not a funky piece, but you know, it's got 3 bends on it. So I'm going to do that. That'll run right across, and I'll bring over my feeds and get it over to where it's got to go, to the light switch. All right, here's the piece. So I'm not going to teach you how to bend EMT, but so there's the 45, and then there's the offset 2-inch. So that'll make it much easier, because some people would you know, not make those multiple bends on there, and then they put couplers and it just looks crappy. Plus it's harder to fish the wire through. So all right, let's go up and get it installed and get over to the next one. All right, let's see if my calculations were correct with because when you bend, you get shrinkage, like you lose it in the bends, and then you have to calculate how many on the drops. So 1/2 inch is actually easier to work with. Let's see how this is. Yeah, I think that's going to be good. Yep. So I'll continue the run down that way. I'll get straps on top of this one, but those are hangers because I want them offset. I've got to get over there to that side, tighten that one up. So basically it comes up 45. This way it's easy to fish. You really only have one turn with the one little offset. And these are it's just a screw that goes down in there, and that set screw tightens up, and that's actually the ground as well. So you got to have that nice, not too tight, but tight enough. All right, so over to this one, get the sticker. Of course, the sticker's always got to be right where you don't want it, but just so we get a good ground, I clean that off. And there we go over there. Go back and tighten that one off. I'll get a single hole strap on this one right here, and I continue down that way. So there's a look at it from down below. So just comes over on a 45. 45's again to bring it back parallel. Drops down the 2 inches, and another stick that way. So I'll put in a couple more hangers and get a box at that end, because everything isn't going down into the box. Some is gonna continue going down that way. So I'm gonna terminate that in a box, come down, and then continue that way. All right, move the lift over. And it's nice because my pile of 3/4 is right there. So I got my one brace in there. So into there, one more piece, and then down. So that'll be good. So I got to get over there, tighten up, put my screw in here, and move over there. Gets a little harder with the door here, but all right, here's a little interim what I've been doing. I got the light, so I'm going to have one light here. This is flush mounted right to the bottom of the truss. I'm going to have another one over there. As I talked about, this is going to be where the platform is, so it's right in the center. It'll light it up. So I've got my feeds coming in here, coming down, 2 switches, one for these lights, one for the outside lights. Coming across, this will be a plug for an opener and also a junction box. So this will also, wires from the switch will come up through here to feed the lights down the way. So there's one there. So that's in. That'll be same thing. It'll be a plug and a junction box that'll run to that one, and then the same for the next. So I've got to get, what I have to do now is get the 1/2-inch EMT bent out so I can run it down and run the plugs for the lights down the center. All right, so for cutting the BX, there's a lot of different ways to do it. I have a cutter. I don't really like it. I'll show the cutter maybe afterwards. You put this in and it's got a wheel basically like what this is, and it cuts it, but it never seems to cut it all the way. I don't know. So I just mark it where I want it to go, and you can give it a little bend like that, and then this is a Dremel. I put the tool down so I could show it, but then you just give it a bend and it comes right off, and it makes it nice. It's so dark in here because I have the doors closed, but it makes it nice and neat up there as well. And then a red head. There's always a lot of debate on red heads, whether you need them or not, but I believe it's not code anymore, but it doesn't hurt to. That just pushes in. Again, you probably can't see it because I can't see it. It's dark in here. So that just insulates the wire from touching. All right, I got my wire caddy up here, so I may have this for years. All right, I can't put my head cam on because I got my hard hat on. It won't connect to that too well. So you can see I've got them all run out on here, which is nice. So this is a good way to do it. If you don't have one of those, make it up. And all right, and another look at pulling the wire. Get it down this one here. So you bring all the wires all the way down to where they're going and pull out the loop, because this one, these pass through, and this one is for the light. So you pull out a loop for that one, and oh, I put my hard hat on. If you just heard that, I just hit where it hit my head. And another loop like that, and this is where everything comes together at the end. So that's easier than having to fish it from one to the next to the next. And another tip, after you cut your wires off, make sure you tape it back together, because you do not want, especially, you know, I've got 4 wires coming off this spool at once, and when I do the long one, I'm gonna have 6 wires, I believe. Might even be 7. So you don't want these tangling together, because then they are not going to go down. They aren't going to feed right. So I just always tape it back and leave a little tail on my tape so it's easy to get. And that's it. Now I'm going down. All right, just so you could see. So these are the lights. These will go together. This tail I'll cut like I showed before in here. And this will just be a junction box. Continue it down, so that will be a plug, and again, that will be a plug. So I'll cut those off now and then put them together and continue down. There's only one more to go, so not too bad. All right, here's a junction put together. So lever, 3-port lever connector, or 3-barrel as you would call it. Same there. The red, it's just my MC cable that I have is a 3-wire, so I've got a red, so it's not hooked up out there or in here, so it's just capped off. And then these are the pass-throughs, and then the box is grounded along with the outside fixture. So now I'm going to put that together, the plug, and then I'll move the lift down and get the last set. All right, I'll show you the process. so I've got the plug here, 20 amp plug. It's already all set up into the, you have to do a little bit, maybe I'll show you on the next one how you get the plug to fit in these metal plates. But I won't do that right at the moment. As you can see with this, hopefully the camera's pointing at it because it's on my head. Oh, I felt a widowmaker on that one. That's what you call when you've got a strand that doesn't behave and it doesn't go inside, because that can short out just like, and it'll be actually worse because you've got a lot of amperage, a lot of voltage, amperage and voltage trying to go through one strand, which that's not good. I gotta get 2 more. Actually gotta get 4 more, so I won't have to come back again. But these are so much better than wire nuts. These lever connectors are very strong, and they just make everything so fast and less bulky in there. And these actually get tighter. If you try to pull them apart, they'll actually get tighter. So these are good. These are a German. These are a German design. Really a must for stranded, I think. All right, so again, I got the pigtail like that. And that's it. That's how fast it is. Well, and I have to put the ground down, but I don't need to show you that. You know, that it goes right on there. But that's with those. That's all it is. Now, I have to leave this open for the inspector. But I may take a picture of it and just close it up and say, if you really want to look at it, I'll open it, because I'm 15 feet up in the air and I'm not going to let him use the lift. He'll have to get on a ladder if he wants to look at it. So, all right, let me move down. Let me get this done. It's a Saturday and it's almost time for quitting. All right, so that's what it looks like when it's together. And I've also got the one that runs down as well, so I've got to put that together. All right, last connection for this front, and then I'm going to move on to the lights, the ceiling lights. So this is going to be a dual. This is going to be a plug and a switch for the outside spotlight that will go on this wall. So I need to run a the power wire, which is the red, and the neutral down here, and then I need to run 2 switch leg wires back up. So I'm going to put them all in together, but because I need 2 of the number 12 blacks, and I only have 1 spool, I'm going to cut off. So I cut off 12 feet. That leaves plenty, and I will just peel this off like this. I don't even have to use the tape measure, just pull it down on the wire that's there. Cut it off, and these two they'll all get taped together and snaked up. All right, I cut all of them to 12 feet, so I didn't have to it's much easier. Put them all together, taped them. I just snaked them up. So they are all set. They're sticking out. When I get the lift back over here, I'll tie everything together, and then afterwards I'll do the bottom. All right, so here we are on the bottom makeup. So I've got the plug, I've got the switch. You want to make this up ahead of time. You have to snap off the ears that are on here, and they give you the hardware to attach them like that, so it's all set. Got my pigtails for the ground here. So because this is stranded wire, we're going to use these spade crimp-on connectors. So they will go underneath. There's a screw there, so that will go there. Those will be attached, and these go to the plug. This is a switch loop, so power in, power out of the switch, and up it goes, and I will show you how that goes together. But I just wanted to show first how, how it's set up and what you need to do. All right, so there's the lever connector ready for the 2 pigtails of the grounds. There's one of the spade crimp-on connectors there ready. You use the color coordinated on your crimper, yellow, blue, red. So these are yellow because these are big. You just push them in, crimp, like that. I'll do the same on these, and I'll show you as I get closer to putting it in. All right, so the only thing really to tell you on these is, if you look, you've got a flat spot on the back of the connector where it bends over. That's the part you want to put on your device so that it sits flat. And you want to just tighten it, and you want to over crank it, and then you just continue on the other ones, and that's really all you have to do. I'll show you when I push it in. I forgot one important tip. Well, it depends on what kind of switch you buy. These are Eaton switches. Hubbles are very good. I like them the best. Leviton's good, Eaton, but I like the Hubbles the best. But you want to, where normally you would put a wire in and there's a plate behind the screw. Make sure you put the spade connector behind the plate, because otherwise what it'll do is it'll want to spin open the spade part, where it can't do it when it's inside the plate, if that makes any sense. But hopefully that tip works for you. But that's tight right there, so that's what that will look like. Alright, there it is, ready to be pushed in. The hardest ones are going to be your ground, because those are solid. The others are stranded. And they're not as forgiving. I always check them to make sure nothing's pushing against anything after I bend it. And then you've basically got one screw there, which this one is a Phillips. Some of them are square drive, but most of these boxes I find that they're more Phillips, and then you can use a flat blade, if a regular blade if you want, but these do not have to be cranked super tight, so you get more torque out of a flat blade than you will out of a Phillips. But it's easier just to use these. I don't find them easy, just because they're not really Phillips, and they're not really flat blade, and they are not square drive. So once you get them started, they're okay. And what I'll do, because the top is just the junction box, when I do the top, I'll leave some wire, because I pushed most of it back up so it's not in the way. But you need to have at least 3 inches to pull out of the box, and I'll probably leave about 5 or so up there. So there you go. That's it. Here's another trick you may not know. So when putting this device in this metal box, because this is a handy box, it's not very deep, and the ring, the nut for the connector, hits the screw. So these wire strippers with the crimper are also, you can cut the screws, and it actually will thread it. It will not damage the threads. So the screws that are in these devices are 6/32. So you just get it to the length you want, and you squeeze, and then you unscrew it. Screw it in, screw it out. Misty, what? And that's it. So you can make it, you can drop it, but you can make it any length you want, and then you just put it in, and that won't hit. All right, so here's the main home run pull for everything. So I've got I'm ringing 3 circuits over, so 6 wires, and 2 of them are 15 amp and 1 is 20 amp. So to do this by yourself, it's a little tough, but I've got it over here, so I'm going to be running back and forth. But I mean, it's not bad. It's just that you have to run. See, once you get it, I can't get all those to pull off at the same time without, I don't want to scrape them. You get the idea if you had 2 people. If Miss Wonderful was home right now, I would have her come over and she could just feed those wires. All right, I made it. I wasn't even paying attention. I pulled 3 feet too much. That's all right. I'll pull it back. And I guesstimated for my last, I needed another neutral. And I wasn't too bad. I only put about 6 feet more than I needed. Not too bad. I'll pull that back to about there. And be good to go. All right. So now that I got my headlamp on because I can't see a thing in here. So now I've got my wires here. And I've got a yellow. I brought a yellow over because that's another 20 amp circuit. And I've got the switch down there, so I will run, before I cut it off over there, I will bring the 2 legs down that will go to the switch, so that then I can run the switch leg back up. So this way I won't have to put an extra splice in here. And I'll also take the neutral for the ceiling lights, because there's going to be a box right over here anyway. I may even put it right there just so I don't have to waste a coupler, and it'll look neater. I may just put the first plug right there for this, but then that means I have to add a second one, so really there should only be a need for 1 plug over there. I don't know, I'll figure that out, but I just wanted to show what it looks like here when it comes through. And just one more tip. So this way you keep the neutrals together, especially needed when you're using the new type breakers, you know, the dual functions. So this way I know that that neutral will go with that light. In theory, I don't know, I guess it doesn't matter, but I think with these new contraptions that it does. So those go together, and these are number 12, so those have to go together. And this is the second run. Like I said, I peeled off enough to make it, and that will be my power for the front lights. All right, I got the 2 lights that are going to be over the stair platform. That will be the first plug right there. So I just have the last feed of the 2 switch legs to go up, and here I use one of the 90-degree EMT corners. So if you've never seen those before, you can open it up. So this way, because that's too sharp, you can't, you know, you'd never get a snake to make that corner, because there's not enough room for me to put a 90 on it, because I need to have it underneath. So that works out well. So this is just going to snake up. I already got the wire. This is going to snake up down there 10 feet, and that's it. All right, working my way down. So I've got just one more to go, really. Just one more. It's a little bit more than 10 feet, so I had to add a little bit more on. Got my offset bends on there. And I just realized I never tried it on this lift before, but this corner is perfect for an angle of 1/2 inch EMT. to pinch through the handle and hold it. So I didn't have to, because I picked up my whole cart before, and right now I needed a lot of colors before, but right now I'm only using the white and black. So that works perfectly. So that was so if anybody has a Genie lift, that's how you can do it. I don't know, I can't tell you if the other ones would be the same. I had, what did I have? I had 2 other lifts, actually 3 other lifts before this one, but I didn't ever try it. So with this, you don't even need to use fish tape on this because it's so short. It'll probably bind at the end, but usually if you wiggle it around, you can get it to poke out. It should be there anytime. All right, and of course my battery died right as it was coming out, so I'm not sure if it caught it or not in my head cam. So this is my hand cam. So there you go. This is the one I just fished and it came right out. So one more to go, and I'll make up these plugs while I'm here too, so it'll be all set. And I've got to hang 1-2 more lights, and then I'm going to put a third one over there, but I don't think, see how that one is tight up against the ceiling? That's because the platform will be there. But I'm going to put one over there just to light up that corner, and I'm going to put that one, I'll probably put it on a little bit of a diagonal right there just to brighten up that corner where the panels are and all that. And I got a neat light to go on the wall, which I'll show you. That's going to have a motion switch on it. Everything up there is done now, so I'm on to the panel. So I'm going to get these wired in, and because these are, well, 3 are combinations, so it's arc fault and ground fault in one. They don't require a pigtail. But the way these work is the neutral and the power go into the breaker. They don't go on to the, like the neutral does not go on the bus bar. And I have one breaker that I bought at a different place. Wasn't what I wanted. This one has a pigtail on it. This is not a plug-on neutral model. So that's my fault for not paying enough attention to it, but I asked the salesman for it and told him what I wanted, and that's what he gave me, and I didn't look at it till I got home and saw there was a pigtail on there. So I'll show you how that goes, but it actually cost more money than the combo did, and this one is just a GFCI, and that will be for the I'll use that for the plugs, and everything else will be both protected. So, and what I do in here is I put them together. I put the neutral, I mark them so that I know which one, because the correct neutral, it's not like they're just going on the neutral bar, so it has to be the correct neutral. You can't steal the neutral from another one because it won't work. So I just zip tied them together so that I don't have to wonder again, since they look similar. So that's how I do that, and I'll show you. This is an easy panel because there's only going to be 4 breakers in it, and I will just come right down this side. 15s at the top, so there's 2 15s and 2 20s, so I'll put the 2 15s in first. They'll start here, and then I'll do the other ones, so I'll show you. Alright, so first one's in. I always put a piece of the, I use a piece of Romex, right on it what it is, so that anybody in the future would know what that goes to. And obviously we want everything to be neat, so we want to tuck that back in. The next one's going to go right underneath it, like that. Snip. And I use both color codes, so for the 20 amperes it'll be in yellow and the 15 amperes will be in white. Alright, these are a number 2 square drive. So, and on these, I'm not sure how all the brands are, but on Eaton, the power, the line power, is on the, well, it's on the top when it's that way. I don't know how to, if it's the, it'll be on the bottom, obviously, if it's on the other side. But they're next to each other. I think square D, I believe that they're not in line. I think one is in front and one is in back, if I remember correctly. They just push in like that, and then like that. We'll slide this down. There we go. There's two ready to go. Two more to go. All right, here we are. So nice and neat. Everything's tucked in. These alternate, so you've got two legs, so every other one is, so this is this side, this is that side, this is this side, this one is that side. So you don't need to put them on that side. Like I said, I've only got 4 that's going in there anyway, so it's much easier and neater just to have them like that. So, and this way, if I do add anything else, I've got plenty of room. And it also frees up the neutral bar on that side for if I don't, if it's just a regular breaker or something that that doesn't require a the plug-on neutral. So at least I can get at it. So I just have to do these plugs now, and that's it. All right, I started this yesterday. It was very cold, had the doors shut. It was dark in here. I didn't have the camera. I had the cameras, I didn't have the batteries, and I didn't feel like going to get them. So, oh well. But, so this is the last run. So I'm going to have plugs down here, and as I talked about, I'm going to have a light with a motion sensor, just so that one light will come on until I get the openers in here. So what I did, I started the run. So we've got a box offset here, and then we're clearing an obstacle. Obviously we're changing there, so it's just a regular offset. Again, I wasn't going to teach how to do it, but this is a 30-degree offset. So the obstacle was 3.5 inches. So that means that the run here is double that. So it's 7 inches to there and continues down another box offset there. I'm going to put another plug. So I want to have basically 2 plugs per bay, even though, well, this one is 2 plugs per bay. And 2 in here and 2 in there. And then at some point I will continue it around, but I'm not moving all that extra plywood and lumber and trim and whatever else is there just to do it. It doesn't matter. And I only need to have 2 plugs per bay. Actually, you only need 1 plug per bay. I don't even think it's 2, and I already have them because they're there. So code compliant anyway, but I don't want to have to go back and do too much. So I'm just going to run this run down here and the light, and then that'll be the end of this, which would be nice. So I have to get inside and finish the electrical in there. And so I put the 2-foot level on there, so that's good. And then also I put a torpedo on the box itself, so that I know because that part is critical as well. Because if not, and the thing with this is this isn't perfectly straight. I don't know why. It's not perfectly flat. So you kind of gotta get it close, and then I still take a look back and see, okay, yep, that's good right there. And fasten the other side of the box. And then the set screws. And then I will put some 1-hole strap on there as well. And the code is it has to be within 3 feet of a box and every 10 feet, which I usually totally supersede that. As you saw up top, I did every 16 inches, just in case, because that was up there. But on this one, I'm just going to center it. I'm just going to center this one right between. And it always wants to turn it a little bit, so I just, again, I like everything to be plumb level. So there, so the next one, I'm going to actually put a double box here, because this one is going to be where there's going to be a light above it. So I want to have a little bit extra room in there for a connection. Don't really need it, but I think I'm going to put a double. I'll put a double here anyway. And here's another little tip. This might help. You know, a lot of times you see people, they put these connectors in and then they're taking a screwdriver and a hammer, or their linemen's, and using that as a hammer and bend it around. But if you spin this around till you get it, well, usually about like that, 45 degrees. If you get it into place and then you twist it with your linemen's, you'll get it tight to where it needs to be. A lot easier and faster than trying to bang it with a screwdriver. So just another little tip that you don't always see, and that may help you to do it. So again, you kind of just play with it a little bit, get it tight, and that is tight. So little trick. All right, so this is the light I'm going to use. A little industrial looking. Thought it would be neat. So that's going to go up there. And it didn't come with bulbs. Luckily I looked, but I bought some. And it takes just about any kind of bulb you can put in it. So that was good. I bought a super duper pack, so I'll have some. Because there's no incandescent bulbs anymore. Everything is LED or something along those lines. But I guess that's progress. So is the price tag. All right, I'll show you the reamer in action so you can see what that looks like after cutting. Reamer. There it is after. And an important thing, I guess I should show it, is, again, I talked about it, but you want to make sure when you start the other side that it's the same way. So you want to make sure that the line is facing up, because if you do it the other way, you'll have two opposing offsets and it won't work. So same thing, get that on the line, pull it down, flip it over, push it forward, line it up, make sure we're good, pull it down, and there we go. And there you go. So you can see how that holds off right there. And this box will go right there. And there it is. All right, so that one's installed. Same thing, box offset on each end. That's up perfect height. And now I just have one more bay. Well, I have one more in this bay and two more. So 3 more plugs to run down there, and then I'll get this wired up. Get some exercise. I walked down to the gate, came to get the electrical things that just got delivered, and I got my 2 friendly neighbors came over to say hello. Say hello. Hello. I would have brought them something. I didn't know they were here. Huh. Didn't know you were here. Alright, gotta go back to work. And they're sad. They're still watching me as I go to the gate. But they're like, bring us something, bring us something. This is a long way. Let's see what we got. Oh, Santa came again. I'll show you why in a minute. And this is the cord that I need for, it's a 3-foot cord for the last light. So, I showed it, but I've been wanting to get that installed. It's been in here for a while. Those are the original David Joseph Civic memorial signs that they did in, I believe it was in 2021, where they named a mile stretch of either way from here after David and the new signs. You could see it in my ending pictures. That's the new sign. They made a much nicer sign strictly for DOT, fallen DOT workers, unfortunately, but they're black and white. So that's one of the original signs, and I put that up. But I like this light so much that I am going to put one in each bay. So I've already set this up. I've already set it up. I wasn't sure it was going to come. Today is Martin Luther King Day, and I wasn't sure if it would get delivered, but it did get delivered. So what I'm going to do, instead of, I had two choices. One was to run a GoPros suck. So where was I? 46% battery when I looked at it, and it went for 22 seconds and crapped out and said battery was dead. So anyway, I could have run another piece of plywood along there and another conduit and gone each way. That makes much more sense. Is I'm just going to use the existing conduit that's there. I'll come up with another one over there. I'll show you how I'm going to do it. It's going to be a little fancy. And obviously you see that one. And I will tie them all together where the switch sends power to the light. So I'll put all three of those together right here, and this way they'll all turn on at the same time, and it will save plywood. It'll save conduit, because all I have to do is go up. Like I said, that one's going to be a little fancier because the center of this one is right there. So I don't want it to hang over, so I'm going to put it, it'll be at the hair off center, but I'm going to make a little fancy bend that comes out. So this way there'll be one light in each bay. They'll all come on with the motion. But yeah, I like the look of them too. So I said, nah, I was debating on it, and I just ordered two more. So happy they came. And that white cable is going to go where I wanted that light, so it fills up that corner. As I said, the stairs will be right there. It was about 2 feet short to get into that light over there, so it's that's just going to continue that without having to put another plug. All right, here's what it looks like. So I've got all three going on this one because I need all three. The red has to go longer, so you can run a big tape down it, but for this there's no need on this one. It's easy enough because this is number 12, so you can push it. You just have to get it started at each. So pull out what I need there. Right, Misty, you watching that? Huh? So let me just show. So these are all passed through. This one's to the end, so everything ends here. Like I said, at a later date, a year, 10 years from now, whenever I get around to it, I will probably continue a line of plugs around the gable wall, but not right now. So what I'll do here, this red wire has to continue up. So I will pull this out. I will pull more of this out right here, and I will cut this. I'll cut this right here, and I'll continue this one up there along with the neutral wire. And then I will just, once that's set, I will come in here knowing that the red does not have to get cut. That's just a pass through. So I will take these two out and use, cut it here so I've got enough. Do the same thing here, pull that out, and this way I don't waste any wire. And then whatever I end up with here, I'll cut it, and then I'll make up everything. So, hey, Misty, what do you think? What do you think? She doesn't know what to think. Right? Yeah, I know. Yes. All right, so quick recap. So the red, I just pulled that back because that needed to go up to there. I still have to run a neutral wire up there. But one of the things that's nice to do is to leave, so the red just passes through, and I'm going to pull a little bit just so there's a little bit of slack, just so it's not, when I push the the device in there, you know, when I put the plug in, if it needs to move it back. I don't want it to be super tight, so I'm going to leave that. But you can just make a loop as you go down, so this way you can see it'll give it less resistance to wanting, because you don't want to pull that one back too short. If you cut it and you're not paying attention and you're pulling this one, you could pull that wire out of the box and now your wire will be too short. Right, Misty? Right? Yeah. So that's, and then this one will get cut. So here's my funky piece. So that's the light, obviously, is going to be up there. So when you're making multiple bends like this, I don't even know what you would call it, but so you've got a box offset, you've got a regular offset, and then it's going to be another box offset. But they all have to be in alignment, otherwise that won't go in, this will be off the wall, and that thing won't go in the box, right? So what I do is do them one at a time. And so I have this camera in my hand, it should be on my head, but I take my finger, actually, let me put it on my head, hold on. Okay, so I've got a mark here, so I know I plumbed it level there. So I know where it's going to go, and it's against the wall. Make sure it's all turned in, because you don't want this part to turn. And then take your finger, whichever one fits, it's the ring finger on the wrong hand, but so you want the line, you want it to be on the face. You got to pretend like it's the other side where it shows a line. And just take your finger and do that. So you're holding that against it. This is how you can cut wood and everything without using snapping a line or putting a straight edge. You can use your finger. So you only have to come 4.25 inches down. So this is the side you start on. So the side that you want to be out on a box offset is the side that you start on. So if you did it the other way, if you started on the back side, this would push in, it would bend in, and it wouldn't work. This thing would be sticking out like that. So just a little tip on how to get the right orientation, because it could be confusing, but the best way that I can tell you to do it is start on the side that you want, that you want kicked out, and that will work for you. So again, I'll show you on this one. I know I did it already, but it can be confusing. So I'm going to do it again, so hopefully this will help you. Mark your 2, mark your 4.25. See how it's perfect? Look at that, perfect. And again, this is the one that spins around. So I showed how to do that, where you just spin the tube, put your marker away. We'll do this in real time, so we'll come out to where we could see a little better. And you've got your line there, and you've got the center line right there. So we've made the center line. Basically, if you put your mark on that line, you'll see how it's right there if I turn it. So you put that on the line, you sight down it this way. So that line, you want that to be centered, because otherwise this part won't be right. And make sure it doesn't move. You got your foot there, and pull down as close as you can, parallel with 10. You don't want to go too much. If you go too much, it'll make a funky bend. Now you don't have a line on this side, so you've got to sight down it, and you sight down that side as well. So you get to your 4.25 line, and you do the same thing. You pull it down to 10, and there's your kick out. See how it's the side that's marked is the side that's kicked out. All right, so here's installing it. So got my magnetic level hooked on. Get the center of the hole. You don't want to be on too tight to one side, because it'll make it spin, or it could make it spin. And I already got one ready, like I should have, and I did, but I figured I didn't, because I usually forget. And that's it. Tighten this one up. And now I just got to put a couple of straps on it, and that'll be that. So we got one light there, one light there, one light there. The only difference is this one is closer in, but this may be a room that we may make this instead of a parking bay, we may make this a gym. get machines in here, and I'll build a wall here and air condition this space, insulated it in just this one. So I'm not going to worry too much about that. It's not where, you know, that it's sticking out, because normally that would bother me. All right, here we are, end of video. So hallelujah, this is done. And when I say done, I mean it's done, which is nice. You know, this isn't just a rough end. I did the whole thing. So lights are in, plugs on this side, outside lights are in, and all the plugs. So I've got 2 in this bay, which is really 3 because that's a duplex. I've got these whatever they call them. They're nautical, but they're jelly jar. They call them jelly jar lights, but they're tamper proof and blah blah blah. Not that they have to be tamper proof, but I just like the look of them. So that's these lights will come on. This emotion switch right here. So all 3 will come on with that. So that'll be good. I'll also have lights, obviously, when I do the openers on the garage doors. But I wanted to have something that just turns on and off when I walk down, and boom, they'll go on. So that's all set. So we've got what? We've got 8, 10 plugs there, over there. Switches are all set. So yeah, so I'm happy. So now I can get in and finish the inside. Next thing I'll be doing is wiring the inside. We've got furniture ordered already. We've got cabinets ordered already. So we're well ahead of the game, even though this is taking longer than any of us would like to. But hey, I'm doing it by myself. So what are you going to do? But as usual, you know, thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And again, I don't know exactly what the next one will be, but probably I'll update on the electrical in there. And I'm still waiting. Actually, it'll probably be, I think they're coming in 2 days, actually. So we're going to be installing the vents. One there, it'll be just about to the right of that, the window there. And then there'll be one on the other side. So I think that will probably be the next video, but you never know. Thanks.